Difference, Wisconsin. This is Deb Kuether with you today with something that's very interesting and unique. So hopefully you'll find this of interest. We get a lot of questions about the specifics of Kuether versus Posley, Milwaukee School Board, MPS, and a variety of other individuals. And what we thought we would do is just go ahead and read some of the main parts of the complaint, the federal filing. And as of April 1st, 2024, the second amended complaint was filed. So I'm going to read that for you here today. Not all of it, but the parts that would be of most interest. So I'm going to kind of go through the nature of the case. Number one, plaintiff, Dr. Deborah Kuether, a 27-year career educator for Milwaukee Public Schools, which we'll call MPS, brings this action pursuant to Title VII and Chapter 42, 1983. Defendants, as described below, harmed Kuether by 1. Violating Kuether's First Amendment rights, 2. Discriminating against Kuether because of her political affiliation, 3. Denying her due process rights, 4. Discriminating against her because of sex and race, 5. Retaliating against her for opposing discrimination, 6. Denying her equal protection, and that should be 7, failing to produce public records. Number 3, therefore, in collaboration with parents and other MPS employees, and in public forums, particularly board meetings where she registered to speak, Kuether began advocating for Posley's resignation. In response, defendants MPS, the board, acted together, in concert, and under an official custom and policy, intentionally refused and restricted plaintiffs' access to and participation in designated public forums, silencing her microphone during multiple meetings because of the content, subject matter, and viewpoint of her speech and anticipated speech. Defendant's conduct is irreconcilable with the First Amendment's guarantee of free speech and violates Kuether's Section 1983 rights. Now, I'm going to kind of go past the jurisdiction and venue because this gets into the various claims under Title VII and 28. And I'm going to go into the parties, and I think it's important to note the parties. There's quite a few of them listed here. Number 7, plaintiff is an adult resident of Wisconsin who resides in the Eastern District of Wisconsin. Defendant, Milwaukee Public Schools, is a first-class city school district under Wisconsin statutes, Chapter 119. Defendant, Milwaukee Board of School Directors, is a board as defined under Wisconsin Statute 119. Defendant Keith Posley is an adult resident of Wisconsin. Posley is the current superintendent for MPS. He is named in his official and individual capacities. Defendant Dr. Jeremiah Holliday is an adult resident of Wisconsin who resides in the Eastern District of Wisconsin. He is named in his official and individual capacities. Defendant Calvin Furman is an adult resident of Wisconsin. He is named in his official and individual capacities. Defendant Catrice Cotton is an adult resident. She is named in her official and individual capacities. Defendant Megan O'Halloran is an adult resident who resides in Eastern District of Wisconsin. She is a member-elect of the defendant board, and she is named in her official and individual capacities. Defendant Jilly Gokul Gandhi is a member-elect of the defendant board, and she is named in her official and individual capacities. Defendant Robert Peterson is an adult citizen. He is sued in his individual capacity. Defendant Marva Herndon is an adult citizen of the state of Wisconsin. She is a member-elect of defendant board, and she is sued in her individual and official capacities. Defendant Aisha Carr is a member-elect of defendant board as defined in 119. She is sued in her individual and official capacities. Defendant Jacqueline Mann is an adult resident of Wisconsin who resides in the Eastern District of Wisconsin. She holds the statutory position of board clerk and works directly for the board independent of the superintendent. She is sued in her official and individual capacities. I'm now going to move on to the facts section. First, Milwaukee Public Schools Board of Directors promote an unqualified administrator despite public race and sex complaints. Number 20. In November 2019, Superintendent Posley, a Black male, sought the board's approval to promote Dr. Jeremiah Holliday, we'll call him Holliday, a Black male, to the MPS Chief Academic Officer. Kuether began teaching for MPS in January 1995. During her career, MPS promoted her several times, most recently to Director of Literacy or Literacy Manager. As Literacy Manager, Kuether coordinated district-wide literacy projects and implemented state-mandated curricula working directly under Holliday. Kuether, who stayed out of MPS politics because MPS has a culture of fear because of retaliation, began to work with past and present MPS employees to study the MPS administration and subject it to democratic scrutiny. Kuether and others worked together to compile publicly available information and regularly watch and discuss meetings of the MPS Board of School Directors. In opposition, Kuether and 14 other MPS employees with public knowledge and experience of Holliday's unfitness for the Chief Office of Academics promotion, history of hostile, abusive, and discriminatory behavior and poor leadership, as well as its impacts on staff and students, wrote letters documenting what they learned. Kuether organized and collected the letters, which the authors left unsigned in fear of retaliation, and presented them to the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association, or we'll call that MTEA. At the time, President Amy Miziaco, who then presented the letters to the board as a collective anonymous petition. The petition. Section 2. MPS administration, including Posley, Furman, Holliday, and Cotton, retaliate against white women who they believe made public comments against Holliday. In a November 2019 closed board session, Posley discussed the petition letters criticizing Holliday. Posley told the board that the letters were written by Holliday's supervisees. Personally attacking the whistleblowers, Posley labeled the authors as white females who did not understand Black male leadership, presenting this as a valid reason to dismiss the petition out of hand. Upon information and belief, the collective board and specific members Peterson, Herndon, O'Halloran, and Gokul Gandhi accepted Posley's race and based justification. Posley required the board's approval to promote Holliday. The petition forced the board to promote Holliday, but only on an interim basis. Defendants Posley, Furman, and Holliday harbored and acted upon an anti-union sentiment against MTEA membership, motivated in part by their presumptions on the race and gender of the union's most politically active members, i.e., white and female, and retaliated against plaintiff and other white females who they even suspected of writing or even supporting the petition, including the plaintiff, MPS Manager of Fine Arts Deb Bowling, Rochelle Sandrin, and Michelle Wade. Defendants Posley, Furman, Cotton, and Holliday retaliated against plaintiff by intentionally refusing to budget required funds for state-mandated curriculum materials, causing a gap in access and resulting in the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, or DPI, to issue a series of letters describing MPS's failure to provide a free and appropriate education. They call this FAPE, to MPS students and threatening to withhold further funding. Though Kuether wrote Holliday in July 2020, indicating a dire need to take action, Posley and Furman blamed Holliday's failure to act on Kuether as a literacy manager and used the incident as pretext to discipline her with a quote special assignment, end quote. In concert with Posley and Furman and on his own, Holliday ignored Kuether's requests for help, withheld information from her that was critical to performing her literacy manager duties and providing pupil instruction, and regularly sabotaged the tasks that Holliday assigned her. For example, Holliday took credit for Kuether's work while simultaneously discrediting Kuether when presenting it to Posley and others. Holliday refused to meet with Kuether to process the district-wide instructional resource purchasing plan and did not respond to Kuether's written requests for approval. Holliday did not respond to attempts by Kuether to solicit guidance on the district's literacy plan, at that time called Ambitious Instruction 3.0. Kuether tried to keep MPS compliant with the DPI, Department of Instruction Free and Appropriate Education FAPE law, but because of Holliday's retaliation against Kuether, the district stood to lose up to $100 million in withholding of funds by DPI. Holliday also sowed confusion between Kuether and her subordinates, arbitrarily targeting them for reassignment and endangering their permanent employment statuses, issuing them punitive performance evaluations, and modifying their work history in the district personnel system to retaliate against Kuether by dismantling her work team while requiring her to do the same work as before. Part 3. The City of Milwaukee city attorney investigates Holliday and finds that he likely discriminated against Kuether and others. A January 7th, 2020 report by the city attorney's office found Holliday likely directed Bowling to select a candidate, at least in part, upon his race. The report described work under Holliday's leadership as it was a near universal sentiment that the work group under Dr. Holliday is a toxic and hostile work environment. It was commonly reported that the current work conditions are the worst they have ever been, by far and without exception. That the employees under Dr. Holliday operate in fear, intimidation, and under a watchful eye that scrutinizes every move, where he publicly ridicules for every blunder, real or fabricated. Most witnesses expressed considering filing their own complaint, of leaving the district, and of losing hope that anything will change or get better so long as Dr. Holliday is in a position of influence. They despair of having to show up to work each day, reported the stress as affecting their personal lives, and one expressed having to seek professional therapy in order to deal with the stress caused specifically by experiences with Dr. Holliday. On March 3rd, 2020, the city attorney sent a letter to Holliday reminding him that retaliation against employees for complaints of race discrimination is unlawful. Defendants Posley and Furman failed to heed those warnings and failed to remediate and encouraged Holliday's retaliation and harassment. Rather than respond to the substance of the city attorney's report, Holliday deflected, explicitly attacking the complaints based on an assumed race and sex of their authors, i.e., white and female, and dismissed them as invalid on that basis. For example, in a paper Holliday submitted to the Equal Rights Division, he wrote, "It has become acceptable and the norm for white women to launch complaints against Black leaders, especially if the Black leaders are in supervisory positions and have authority over the white women. And the board upholds the complaints every single time. Describe the complaints as false claims being filed against me by the majority white women. And in line with this is the white people's women's playbook, accuse the Black man of harassment and being inappropriate with white women. I am a pastor." The white women complained about the leadership of a Black man because they don't want to be asked to do their job and don't want to be held accountable for their work in the worst district in the state. There is no other explanation for this treatment other than the obvious facts of my identity as a Black male over 40, married with 4 children. That's what Holliday wrote. Defendant Furman helped prepare Holliday's ERD complaint against the district and otherwise advised Holliday how to claim race discrimination against their employer. Furman supported Holliday's discrimination and retaliation against Kuether by refusing to act on complaints, let alone discipline Holliday, and writing a letter of recommendation for Holliday. Between May and October 2020, Kuether made protective complaints that Posley arbitrarily rejected two top qualified candidates, white and Hispanic, in favor of a less qualified candidate, Felicia Saffold, black, because of race in the process of selecting the senior director of curriculum and instruction. On October 19th, 2020, Holliday and Posley hired Felicia Saffold, a black female, as the senior director of curriculum and instruction. Upon information and belief, although Saffold was less qualified for the position, the board violated its own policy by quickly approving a raise for Saffold a month into her position. Kuether served on the first hiring committee for the position filled by Saffold and knew that the hiring committee selected the two highest qualified individuals. Kuether formally complained to Matt Chasen, the district's senior director of accountability and efficiency, about the decisions to hire Saffold over the top-ranked candidates and increase her pay arbitrarily. On information and belief, MPS intentionally destroyed any record of the first round of hiring and would not produce application and interview records in response to public records requests. On October 6, 2020, Kuether, Wade, and Sandrin met with Furman, presenting him with a written complaint with hundreds of supporting documents, including the petition the MTA presented to the board in 2019, opposing Holliday's promotion. Furman read the supporting documents, including the petition, determined that Kuether was one of the white women opposing Holliday. Furman continued to protect Holliday even after meeting with the white female whistleblowers and reading their evidence. On information and belief, Furman told Posley what he learned about Kuether to support Holliday. Within weeks of becoming senior director of curriculum instruction in October 2020, Saffold began micromanaging, harassing, and bullying Kuether. Saffold did so under direction of Posley, Furman, and Holliday. Saffold boasted that MPS hired her to clean house. Saffold 1 reassigned Kuether's subordinates in their office spaces without her knowledge. 2 monitored Kuether's subordinates' remote work status more closely than other district employees. 3 harassed and belittled Kuether in private and in front of others. 4 reduced Kuether's duties and responsibilities. 5 disabled Kuether's access to listservs and key emails. 6 threatened to write up curriculum and instruction staff for posting signs near Kuether's office congratulating Kuether on her dissertation presentation. 5 praised Kuether in private, but disparaged and made false reports about Kuether's behavior to Posley. 6 directed offensive language towards Kuether during meetings. And 7 assigning excessive and unrealistic work assignments to Kuether to create a paper trail in order to discipline Kuether. Kuether frustrated Saffold because Saffold was unable to document work duty violations against Kuether. Beginning in October 2020, Kuether and Chasen regularly discussed Saffold and Saffold's ongoing discriminatory and retaliatory treatment. Chasen augmented Kuether's complaints from these discussions. On November 4th, 2020, Kuether made a formal written request seeking, quote, job protection, unquote, pursuant to MPS whistleblower policy 6.35. On November 5th, 2020, one day after Kuether's request for job protection and 11 months after the city attorney recommended intervention for Holliday, Furman issued a coaching pursuant to internal complaint memo to Holliday. In his memo, Furman wrote, a ninth allegation concerned potential racial bias by you in the hiring of a coordinator. The investigation found this allegation to be substantiated. I disagree. Furman also wrote in the same memo, I feel coaching is appropriate to address concerns raised in a general allegation of a hostile work environment under your leadership. On November 17th, 2020, Kuether filed a discrimination and retaliation complaint against Holiday with the MPS Equal Rights Administration Department. On December 2nd, 2020, Saffold convened a last minute virtual non disciplinary supervisory meeting with Kuether. Kuether, Wade, Angela Ford, and Saffold's assistant were in attendance with Saffold. On December 3rd, 2020, Saffold sent Kuether emails with offensive language blaming Kuether for errors that Saffold made herself as part of the assignment from Posley to clean house. On December 4th, 2020, Kuether submitted a discrimination and retaliation complaint against Saffold. That afternoon, Saffold issued a letter with a conflicting account of the non-evaluative supervisory meeting, including a possible notice of termination. On December 17th, 2020, Saffold moved the office assignments of Kuether's direct reports without consulting or even informing Kuether. On December 20th, 2020, Kuether defended her dissertation. Kuether's colleagues put up celebratory signs and decorations in the office space near Kuether's office. Saffold informed staff to remove all decorations and told staff they could be written up for using MPS time and space for that purpose because of animus inspired by Posley, Holiday, and Furman. On December 21st, 2020, Kuether became ill at work. At the insistence of her colleagues Ford and Wade, Kuether took the afternoon off and went to a walk-in clinic. After being examined by a doctor, Kuether was taken by ambulance due to cardiac crisis from the walk-in clinic to the hospital, where she remained until the next day because of her physical reaction to the Posley-Saffold discriminatory and retaliatory micromanagement. In December 2020, Kuether was only present at work for 6 days due to approved FMLA leave and the holiday work schedule. On December 29th, 2020, when Kuether returned to work from a hospital stay, Furman summoned Kuether to his office to question Kuether about her, quote, actions and behaviors towards Saffold, end quote. Although Posley made the decision to reassign Kuether in consultation with Furman and others, Furman and not Posley met with Kuether, depriving her of the opportunity to respond to the charges against her by the decision maker. That day, Furman and Posley summarily and involuntarily reassigned Kuether to a non-existent, quote, special assignment, end quote, one without defined title, role, or duties. Furman and Posley also removed Kuether and her political activism from the MPS central office by Furman directing Kuether to clean out her office and report the next workday to Washington High School for a special assignment job without description. Chasen asked Furman for evidence supporting the special assignment decision. Furman told Chasen that a reassignment would allow Kuether to reset. Posley knew or had reason to know of Kuether's expertise in early childhood, cultivated over her 3 decades of service to MPS, and that she holds no licensure and has no experience teaching high school. Defendants Posley, Cotton, Furman reassigned Kuether to set her up to fail, humiliate her, and injure her professionally and emotionally. On information and belief, Cotton, knowing that MPS previously found Holidays discriminated in hiring, referred Kuether, Wade, and Sandrin to Furman, knowing that he would retaliate against them. Cotton arranged Kuether's special assignment in the late hours of the previous night by calling Terry on her personal phone and informing Terry that she could, quote, figure something out, end quote, for Kuether's work duties. During the reassignment meeting, Kuether said 2 things. She told Cotton that she was not licensed for high school. Cotton told Kuether, quote, it doesn't matter. You will go where we put you, end quote. Kuether also asked Furman, "Is there anything I could have done to change this?" Furman replied, "Who knows?" Kuether reported to Washington High School and began a punitive work regimen under the supervision of Principal Angelina Terry. While other school employees worked in the office or the fourth floor, defendants assigned Kuether to a basement workspace with no phone, no internet, no working computer, and no cellular service, isolating her from others. Kuether's new workspace was filthy, featuring used toothbrushes on the table, old food and open drinks laying about, yellow liquid in a jar, mouse nests and droppings, and a large knife in the desk drawer. Conspicuous as the only room not sanitized per policy as appropriate during the COVID pandemic. Terry denied Kuether leave for a previously scheduled doctor's appointment and changed the procedure for approving future appointments in attempts to make it appear that Kuether was AWOL. Even though Furman and Posley banished Kuether, Saffold emailed Holliday and reported Kuether as AWOL. Terry video recorded Kuether without her knowledge and denied such recordings existed, falsely accused Kuether of being combative, ordered Kuether to, quote, not move or follow her, end quote, and threatened to write her up for impossible tasks. On day 4, Kuether informed Terry that she would need to take the afternoon off due to illness. Kuether's heart condition worsened due to her treatment on the special assignment. Kuether's medical doctor ordered immediate medical care and placed Kuether on a heart medication and daily monitoring, precipitating the need for FMLA. On January 21st, 2021, in a special board meeting led by Chasen about Kuether's complaints and arbitrary reassignment, Posley told the board that he, quote, directed his staff to reassign Debbie Kuether so that she could reset her behavior, end quote. On April 13th, 2021, Posley sent agents to Kuether's house to get the laptop and keys that the district had assigned to her. The district's agents told Kuether that her position had been cut per a March meeting announcement by Saffold. In April 2021, upon information and belief, the district alerted Kuether that her MPS payroll had been hacked, causing direct deposits and bank accounts to be compromised and frozen. Chasen initiated an internal investigation on Kuether's payroll hack. The district compromised Kuether's identity through its careless sharing of her personal information to multiple individuals during her reassignment and concluded it was more likely than not that an inside person had initiated the hack on Kuether's payroll. In May 2021, MPS informed Kuether that they had a payroll oversight, which made it necessary to take 3 months of deductions in one transaction from Kuether's leave balance, which ended Kuether's health, dental, vision coverage for Kuether. The deduction impacted Kuether's retirement calculations and makes her ineligible for health, vision, and life insurance upon the end of her employment. On information and belief, Posley and Furman directed MPS employees directly or indirectly to alter Kuether's payroll because of discriminatory and retaliatory animus. As a result of Posley and the district's actions, Kuether suffered and continues to suffer significant physical and emotional distress.